So yeah, what has been your perspective on having visited many parts of Bogota in your days here and try to understand the complexities of such a big.
I think my first impression is that there's the challenge that almost every city has in Bogota is extremely, because every city we have a problem with affordable living, and in Bogota it's extreme. There's extreme poverty in some regions, and I think the way of, and there's very empty buildings in the center. I think the most challenging thing would be making affordable living in the center, and look out for gentrification, that it won't be all very spectacular apartments. I think that's the biggest challenge for Bogota.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm always concerned with this idea of the balance between creating new living solutions versus the pressures of the informal structured construction of city, because the informal city phenomena we have also has a lot of forces behind it that want to promote it and prolong it in time. Mm-hmm. And the sad part for me is that generally the people living in these conditions of poverty don't have an option, and that kind of makes the spiral endless. Mm-hmm. And so I do agree that one of the ways that this could start being tackled, I don't think it is a global solution or a final solution, or that things will be solved in just one strategy, but I do think the idea of reutilizing what exists that's empty, or densifying the footprint that exists, is important. And in general, I know it's a challenge, and in just getting existing landowners, big or small, to be part of projects. But I do think a way of dealing with gentrification when developing the existing city is to find strategies to make those who are inhabiting the place be part of the future. Yes. Project. And there's laws in place right now. We call it the Ley de Moradores, or the Dwellers Law. And so a set of parameters are established in order to prevent developers to taking advantage of those living in the place. Again, it's a semi-new law, or the final definition of it is semi-new. It's from 2021, so we're still trying to see if it works. But there should be a structured way of allowing existing builders to participate. Yes. In the sustainable re-densification and reutilization of our existing footprint, as a way of combating this ongoing informal sprawl. And I think in general, in all cities, because most of the dwelling is driven by private money, also in Belgium it's the case, I think the only way of addressing affordable living would be that you oblige by law that developers also should build affordable housing. Yeah. You could say when you build a house, you build an apartment block somewhere in the city, at least, I don't know, 30% or something has to be affordable. Yeah. And that, for me, is the only way to. Otherwise, they always choose to build for rich people because they will gain more money. And another thing I was thinking about is that I think there's a lot of possibilities with the public space in Bogota. Yeah. I think now, since it's a very spread out city, there's much investment in traffic, private traffic, and I think the only solution to have a good livable city is that you invest in public traffic and also in greenery and space to bike and to walk. And I think having someone like you whose role is to advise government and also clients, we don't necessarily have that role here. And I think it would be great to explore further how this type of figure could help deal with these issues before they hit the market conflicts, before the market starts kind of offering solutions. Maybe there's a step before that conversation begins that helps guide also the market decisions and not only the political decisions.
And also the role of a city architect could grow year after year. You could start by someone who has a sort of vision for the total city, and he starts with small exercises and pilot projects to look what will happen, and slowly, after years and years, politicians will understand that it could be interesting, and then his role could grow. And there was this remark about participation. I think it can also be a role for a city architect, because he's not the administration, he's not the investor, so he's presenting the people. So I think that could be an interesting role. I think everybody almost agrees upon the fact that the future city should have more nature, and there should be really a new relationship between nature and the city. And that's also a big challenge for Bogotá, I think, to have more place, more trees, more greenery. I think living conditions not only depend on having your own house that's big enough and is built, but you also live outside your house. And I think that the public space must be able to be used for people that live there. And that's the communal space. That's a space you share with other people. And to make that space, to use that space together with others, that's a good way of having a qualitative living in the city.
I mean, technically, yes. I think you can establish forests anywhere in the world. I think it's more a matter of political will and economic possibilities. However, I think we also have to understand certain social conditions when establishing these types of environments in Bogotá, because we are a city that has very limited resources and capabilities of maintaining and controlling these spaces. I am of the idea that I would prefer to have 10 small parks than one big one. And so the idea of this big urban forest that many imagine, that comes to mind when the conversation is embarked upon, I'm more of the idea of the network of forests more than an urban forest. And I do think if we had pockets of intense native greenery through a network and hopefully tied to each other in some smaller way that kind of operates like a chain, I think that is more viable financially. It spreads out more environmentally, but it's also more viable to maintain and to not become a problem for the city. Big parks like, for example, Tercer Milenio Park, which is amazing, and it's incredible that we have such a big park next to downtown. The utilization of it is very problematic, and the maintenance of it and the operation of it is very problematic. And I can point out tons of parks throughout the city that work well, and none of them are that big. And so I would love to, it's one of my personal dreams in Bogotá to have a network of forests more than a big urban forest.
Okay, thank you so much. So, it's nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.